This is Hot Mic.
Hot Mic.
On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2 on this Friday morning, ready to rock and roll. Bart Manson will join us coming up about a half hour. Davies plays later tonight in the 2A boys semis against West Fargo. I'm super pumped to have our next guest in studio. Normally, I've either bugged her when she's working at her, her real job or at the Dome. It's great to see Lynette Johnson. You're welcome. This is my other home I have here.
I see it on TV, and I'm just even more impressed being in here.
I don't know. This is all a collection of junk that I can't fit in my home.
Hey,
that's
I
actually
like
here.
it. I like it.
Awesome job yesterday with Sam. You've become mainstay here. Your voice is known. You've done this for 12 years, I think. I
think so. Yeah, it's I'm just saying it's my moonlight job. Once a year, I get a chance to come and talk basketball. And my husband says I like to talk, so might as well get it out here. But yeah, it's a blast.
Here's the crazy part: how many people know you now from doing this rather than your basketball career? I
would say the last couple of years, more and more people will say, "Oh, don't you do Class B or don't you do Class A?" And didn't I hear you on TV? So it's kind of fun to be known for something different too.
That's especially obviously for younger viewers, your kids you deal with every day at school. Like, hey, I actually played.
Yeah,
like you have to tell them, like, hey, I actually was half decent.
Well, I don't like to talk about myself that way, but it was funny. I had a parent say that they were in the kitchen and all of a sudden their kid walked out and said, "Is Mrs. Johnson in the house?" Like they heard me on TV and kind of scared them a little bit. But
it's great to see you. I really appreciate you coming by. We'll get the lowdown of what we saw yesterday, but being back at the Dome, would you get a sense of the venue yesterday? That's the first time that the girls have been there in a decade.
Yeah, and it's been again a long time since I've been in there, and I like what they've done with the floor. It's a beautiful floor.
Yeah.
It seems a little cozier. It's a big space, and it's a tough space to play in for the first time. But they have spruced it up, and I think it's going to be a fun atmosphere today.
Did you get a sense that for all the teams you're seeing, that's a live look now of what we're looking at, that each of the teams needed a little bit to adjust to the backdrop?
Yes, definitely. Especially probably the East teams. West, at least, is in the Civic in Bismarck, which has a little bit of that. Little bit, not quite as the
main
vast.
Floor does. It has the back. Yeah, you're right. Yep.
But each coach was like, "I'm glad we got a chance to shoot around in there because it is a different." I mean, you're used to be in a high school gym where the wall is right behind the hoop, and all of a sudden there's nothing behind it. So. I didn't think teams shot particularly bad though yesterday. So I think today we'll be back to normal.
So you had the dynamite games yesterday. Frankly, the Red River Mandan game came right down to the wire there. I want to get the Shanley Century game in a second. The last one, Minot ended up beating Davies. I mean, when you saw one East team, 3 West, I know you watch a lot of the WDA. Is that what you expected yesterday?
I did just because I've seen a lot of strength in the West. I haven't had a chance to watch a bunch of the East live this year. Knew a lot about Horace, and they really are just a fantastic team. They were everything they were built up to be.
Yeah. When you and Sam mentioned this yesterday on the broadcast, they made it last year, the Horace girls, and lost to that Bismarck team that just got hot at the right time. But you and I have experienced this before where teams get there and maybe their first time and then fall short.
Right.
How much do you think that helped Horace that they had to go through that last year to maybe have some big rewards this year?
Well, I think so. I think sometimes last year's second year as a program. They get to the state tournament. If they go and win it, they think, oh, maybe that's how it is every year.
Yeah.
But I think losing to Bismarck High last year really provided motivation, and it causes you. Sometimes those losses causes you to work even harder. And I mean, they're fantastic to watch, and they're gonna be a tough team to beat this weekend.
We're watching the highlights here. The end of the Red River Mandan game was wild, and. You never want an official to decide it, but at that time, I mean, you got to make a call, right?
Yeah, and like we saw it in the Bismarck High Century game in the WDA for the boys finals, a same type of situation, and that happens. And credit to McAllister for standing out there, making the first free throw, timeout by the other coach, and then coming back and hitting that other free throw. So kudos to that young lady for stepping up and knocking down shots in the clutch.
We had Beth Maher on the show yesterday talking about her Shanley girls, and I thought in a loss they were the most impressive team yesterday. And we're just talking about the Horace girls.
Yep.
The Shanley girls, we were just visiting off air. I think they're going to be a problem.
They're going to be a problem. I took
forward.
some notes and I wrote that down. Shanley's going to be a problem. I mean, they've got a couple of freshmen, a seventh grader, and again, some good pedigree. You know, the pedigree that these kids have, the families they come from.
Yeah.
There's some athletic genes that they have, and they know basketball. They know how to win. And they're just getting better. And I love what Beth Maher is bringing to the program.
I got to ask, because we experienced 3 years ago when Minot won with 2 8th graders leading the way. And maybe I didn't realize it. Maybe you did. Like, okay, the youth is here, that this is going to be maybe more norm than I think. And I'm watching that Shanley team with a 7th grader who may have been the best player on the floor, a couple of 8th graders, a 9th grader. Is that maybe more common than I think now in big school basketball?
You know,
you saw it last week in the Class B, though, too.
Yeah, we see it every year. It seems like there's one or two studs. You look at Abby Dukeshire several years ago for Kinwood,
right.
And she was a 7th grader helping lead her team to a state championship.
Great point.
So I don't know if it's commonplace in every school, but you get some of these young kids and they're stars. You know, you look at like kids like Logan Nisley and Ware from Century, how they're playing at the pretty high levels.
Yes.
And you knew when they were young that they were pretty darn good. So I think there's a sprinkling of it all over the state, and these young kids are coming to play.
Give me your analysis now. You saw Jaden Hale play in person, EDC Senior Athlete of the Year. She's going to go play at Gonzaga next season. Double-double yesterday. She's really, really good. She's Horace's first standout player. What kind of player does she resemble? Anybody that you know of, or what's special about her game that you saw?
I don't know if she resembles anyone, but she's just so strong. I mean, she's 6'3" and moves so well. Can go either direction down at the post. She can hit the. I love that she hits like the 15-foot jump shots. Sometimes it's a
mid-range jumper is long gone,
right?
Yeah.
And I love that she does that. Plays with her back to the basket. Sometimes in our modern basketball, sometimes it's just 5 out. So I like her versatility. She plays great defense, and runs the floor. So Gonzaga is getting a heck of a basketball player, and it's fun to see in North Dakota, these North Dakota kids going out and playing some big-time basketball.
You know, when she was starting to get the first little bit of attention, and I think NDSU was offered. I know UND was in there, but then a couple other Power 4 schools like, oh, that's different, and her game is only risen up, and that's another, it's fun to watch. You mentioned 2 players there, and Logan Nisley and Lauren Ware that we've watched play. Sam Hybe, another from Moorhead who played at Nebraska. It's just fun to see them, and they're not the 8th or 9th player on the bench. They're starters, and they're making huge impacts on their individual teams.
Yeah, they are. We actually went down to Nebraska this fall to see Logan Nisley play.
We had her on the show a few weeks ago.
My daughter went to her basketball camp, so like, hey, let's go down and watch her. It was fantastic, and she's a big part of that team. It's not like she's not the 10th player on the bench. She's an integral part of the game, and when you have a couple of those kids, the coaches come to watch, and then all of a sudden the coaches might see someone else and might see someone else. Lily Bell's got people coming from all over the country to watch her play. Who else are they going to catch, and who else are they going to see while they're watching the state tournament?
The legacy I wanted to mention as well, because we know Felkley's going to go play for the Jackson, and you mentioned it yesterday, and she's going to get coached by AJ, and she's going to be good. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Marley Falcon's another. I hadn't seen her play in person until yesterday. Oh boy.
Yeah.
She's going to be really good.
I noticed last year. I was like, who's this kid?
Yeah.
She's 6'3", freshman last year.
Cannon threes.
Yes, and she's put on some muscle, and she'll continue to do that. She comes from a very athletic family. Her brother is a fantastic basketball player as well.
Parker's really good, yep.
And I really like what I've seen from her. I like the growth and development that I've seen from her, and she's going to be, if not as good, maybe even better than Felkley.
So the Bison have already offered her. I believe USD is as well, and she might be beyond that, right?
Yeah, she might be. I might have to take her a Bison shirt over. We live up in the Legacy District, so I'll have to find where she lives.
You mentioned Lily Bell, who got dinged up a little bit last night, and she's mentioned, I know you and Sam talked about it, that she's on the doorstep of breaking Sarah Jacobson's record. We saw that in person. I'm like, well, okay, just like I thought with Anand Moody, that's going to last for a bit. It's going to be gone maybe by the end of the weekend.
And she's just a junior. Again, she's got a whole year left, and you think, okay, this kid, who's going to break this record? Because, she's been playing for so long. But then you've got the kid from Shanley,
Jaya Taylor.
Yeah. She's just a 7th grader and scoring like she did at the tournament. So maybe she'll be the one to break that record. Who knows?
I know she caught your eye when we were there. Date myself 3 years ago. It seems like forever. What about her game has evolved since 2022 to what you're seeing now, where 20 some odd schools want her to come play for them?
I just think the maturity. I think you could see the frustration on her as a young 8th grader. You maybe get frustrated a little quicker. And I just saw even last night some frustrating things happened, and she just maintained composure. And even when she was hurt, she came back in and provided some spark for her team. And she, again, can post up down low, but she can hit that 20-foot jump shot from the 3 too.
Minot and Century have there's no love lost between them. So what do you make of that second semifinal tonight?
Well, they've played each other three times this year, and each time Century has gotten a little bit closer, and then the last in the semifinals, WDA beat them.
Yeah.
And I really am impressed with the job that Nate Wellstead has done at Century with this team. I saw him play earlier in the year, and it's like, this isn't the typical Century team, and he just has gotten them playing just fantastic defense. I can't tell you you're sitting there live right on the court with them and how close they are. 25 feet from the basket, they are pressuring them.
That's tough.
It is tough. It is tough because they just move so well laterally. I've just been impressed with the job that he's done and the work that team has done.
It's funny to think of them as an underdog.
Right.
Never in a million years did anybody think Century girls basketball is under the radar or an underdog. But I think I know they're the 1 seed, but I still think they're not the favorite in this event.
And they don't have in years past they had Lauren Ware, they had Logan Nisley, they had this big player. Now they're just they're just so balanced, and anyone
which is
any
scary
night
too.
can go off. I think they had 3 in double figures yesterday, so I think that's what makes them a great team.
I had an email here to ask you your thoughts on what you saw of Lincoln Donnelly and what there's another one. She's a freshman for Horace. Of what impressed you about her yesterday?
That's a kid that I would like to. If you're starting a team, you want to have a kid like that. Just complete control on the offensive end, like the shot. Like I haven't seen a prettier jump shot.
It's pretty good.
It's really good. And just stop and pop. And I really like her composure, her mentality out there. Again, not too high, not too low. For a 9th grader to be able to contribute like that and just kind of lead her team, I'm really impressed.
The level of talent, you were part of this where I think obviously North Dakota didn't have Division I basketball when you were playing, but we've talked about this, I think, every year. The level just keeps getting better and better. There's probably going to be 5 or 6 Division I coaches. If they weren't in the stands yesterday, they will be today. Why has it gotten better? Where is it skill? Is it talent? Is it both? Why has it gotten the way we're at now?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think there's just more opportunities to be seen at the national level. Yeah. There's TV. I mean, you're on TV more. There's Twitter. There's the AAU tournaments that people go in. And again, I'm not all in on AAU all the time. I've got my own personal opinions on that. But it does allow kids to be seen. And back in 1998 or 1990, we played at the Devil's Lake Eagles tournament. That was our big, travel tournament. We didn't have any opportunities, and there weren't any college coaches there.
I was going to say, was there any coaches in the stands?
No,
okay.
Maybe Coach Schwabe from Devil's Lake or Lake Region, but other than that, it just wasn't a thing. So they just there's so many more opportunities to be seen. These kids are talented.
Yeah.
I mean, they're playing a lot of basketball. There's a lot more there's specialty camps and trainings and those kind of things. And if you want to put the time in, it can show.
You got time for a few more minutes?
Yeah, sure.
All right,
do.
we'll break. We'll come back. I got a couple other rapid fire things to ask Lynette as well, including now I got to know. I don't know how Amy found you. I need to know that story.
Okay.
Tell us that when we come back.
Okay.
Much more on Hot Mic. Lynette Johnson joining us in studio. We're back after this. All right, back here. Lynette Johnson with us. Be on the call with Sam Getziger coming up 1 o'clock with our first semifinal with Horace and Mandan, then followed by Century and Minot. Okay, I got about 8 questions, but I got a couple emails coming in as well. So my first question though, we teased it. Give us the backstory how North Dakota State then found you recruiting wise when there was no recruiting engines out there 30 years ago. Sorry to date you.
I grew up about 70 miles from Fargo, and I was a big Bison fan growing up. Pat Smykowski, Jacobson.
Yeah.
Grew up probably 7 miles as a crow flies for me. So I was always a big Bison fan and had gone to games. And I went to some basketball camps at NDSU, the Future Stars camp or whatever it was in 8th grade, and then all the way through. So I kind of went to them. I secretly had always wanted to be a Bison, and maybe not so secretly, but I just said that I'd been a fan, and I was a Milner Bison, and why not be an NDSU Bison?
Going.
So I think that's kind of how they found me, not too far away. And we did play at Oak Grove once a year. They were in our conference back then, so got to play in Fargo a little bit. And, so I don't know. You have to ask her, maybe.
Do you remember like when she called to offer a scholarship? Do you remember that when that went down?
I think it was at camp.
Okay.
That she offered, and I remember when I told them, and it was I don't know. I have the flair for the theatrics. I guess I had NDSU shirt underneath my jacket, and I wore it the whole game. And after the game,
awesome.
I went to the. We went back to the offices, and I opened my shirt and said, "How do I look in green and yellow?" I'm like, "What a dork!"
That's fantastic.
What a dork!
Hey, you see what people do
yeah,
now.
That's true.
That's nothing compared to what goes on now.
I can only imagine me on Twitter back then. Anyway,
were there any other players that you end up playing against that went to that camp? Do you remember that, or future teammates that were at the Camp of the Stars?
I don't know if the Camp of the Stars, maybe Rachel Otto.
Okay.
She was somewhat, yes, Rachel was there, and Sherry Kleinsasser, I never had seen at camp there, but we, seen each other at the state tournament.
Yeah.
Quite a few of the people that I played with were actually from Minnesota.
Okay.
Lori Roofs, Jen Rodemaker, Darcy Steer.
Yeah.
Repping the
Yeah, I
Carolina
see that.
Panthers today.
Yeah.
Her husband Todd
Yeah.
coaches out there. So I wouldn't say a ton of my teammates went there. No.
Question comes in, Lynette, what's the best basketball venue in North Dakota? There's the one to put you on the spot.
Well, if you are going for Class B girls, I loved the Betty up in Grand Forks.
That's a good call.
That was fantastic. Championship night probably helped that it was like Grafton and Kindred, two East teams.
Really good.
I love the Bismarck Event Center, and especially for the Double A. It's got the auxiliary gym, right there. You don't have to walk outside. It's a pretty fantastic venue. But again, that's the first place I played at state my junior and senior year. Our state was at the Civic out in Bismarck. I think it's a fantastic venue.
There's an attachment to that for people still. Minot is as well, but Bismarck holds different. Like every year that I remember going out there when I was calling the state B, that was, this is where it's supposed to be.
Yep.
This is where it is, and it just felt different.
It's state capital. It's kind of a central location. It's everybody has to travel, and You're
right
like
though
that.
On Grand Forks. The first year we were up there, I think it was 2019. I remember looking like, oh, this is different.
Yeah.
This is going to be rocking in
here.
It
was really fun. And, I don't even know if it's 4,000 people or 4,000 seats, but it had a great atmosphere.
That was Thompson Kindred. Remember that?
Yep.
That was semifinal night. It was packed.
Yep.
It was really good. The girls deserved that. That was, the boys so often get it. That was just a different deal because also the fans were right there on top of you too.
It was rocking, and from start to finish, and the student sections were full, and it's a fun place to play.
Another email comes in. Who is the best basketball player that you've called, like in terms of when you've been doing TV? Who's been the best? I'll throw one in the mix if we forget. Hannah Stewart.
Oh yeah,
she was really good at Bishop Ryan.
Yep,
it was really good.
Really good. Logan Nisley, I think,
was great.
is great. Lauren Ware.
Ware was awesome.
There's probably some I'm forgetting right now. If I had 5 minutes to think about it and had a list of players, Shanley's had some great players come down the pipe.
Gets underlooked. Lauren Rotunda was really good with those teams. I always appreciate how good she was.
You think about that Shanley team. Emily Dietz, Jacobson, Rotunda. They won. They had a nice run.
Repeat of team titles there. Yeah, that one, Stewart gets lost, and she obviously played at Iowa.
Right.
Was awfully darn good there for a team that almost made the Final Four. God, Gabby Bowl was on that team. God, they were.
Yeah, and Julie Stewart, the coach, who's now,
Wayzata,
and has just a fantastic team down there.
She's got another Bison coming this way.
Yep.
Sophie Hawkinson is their standout player who's going to be a Bison next year, which is a perfect transition because I don't want to rip off the Band-Aid too much because the Bison lost last week, but I know you always. I see you at a game or a couple games every year. Where do you think where Jory's at with the Bison women right now?
I love what Jory Collins has done. He's been a great advocate for women's basketball in the state of North Dakota. He's been great with alumni, really bringing people together. I love his X's and O's. I like what he does with the team. He's brought in, kind of changed the not the culture, but brought in some athletes that can compete at that level. And you talk about Elle Evans, a fantastic player that he brought in. Unfortunately, she with the transfer portal had went to Kansas, had a great year there, and is a fantastic player. But those are the kind of players you need to compete at that Summit League level with South Dakota State. And now we've got to get them in. How do we keep them? And that's just going to be the case, I think, going forward with that division.
With the portals just being there, that element is there. How much do the Jacks now remind you of when you were a Bison? Is it similar?
A lot. Just the I don't know, I'm not corn-fed. That's not the right word, but just it's tough, strong,
I would say
physical.
The aura of it, though. Like, how many times did you come into a gym like, we know we're going to win? Yeah. You had that belief, because they have that. I believe that totally.
And I didn't think we were ever going to lose. Like that was just our mentality. And I always felt like we were stronger than the other team, and we were in better shape than the other team. And I feel like South Dakota State has that.
Totally.
They're strong, they're physical. That's their identity, and they keep winning.
And the crazy part about it, and they haven't been hit by the portal at all. I asked AJ that, like, how is this possible that no one's come and got either you or any of your players? But winning goes a lot to that, Lynette. Like, they win, they're ranked in the top 25.
Yep.
So his counterpoint was to me, where else are you going to go? Because if you're going to go, it would just be for the money, because we're winning right now, and he's exactly right.
And he gets kids that want to win.
Yeah.
And they're pretty local kids. The best in South Dakota are coming to him.
Probably some of the best in Minnesota are going there.
Yep. And what? Yeah, you can go to play at who knows, Indiana, and maybe not make the tournament. Maybe you make
some money.
Make some money. But do you want to win? And they continually go to the national tournament.
And they continually win a game at the tour of the tournament. I was just mentioning before you came on, they're right now projected as a 9. They don't want any part of that, because if you do that, you win your first game, you got to play the 1 seed. And that's the 1 seeds this year are South Carolina, Texas, USC, UCLA.
Not too bad.
Those are all really good, really good teams
win
right now. And the attention, I don't know if you had a chance to watch Juju Watkins play a ton from USC. I know she doesn't have the clout of what Caitlin had, but she's really good.
She's really good, and I'm both ends of the court as well. But just the ability to score almost at will. I haven't seen her a ton, but when I have, I'm like, that girl's got it.
And the fun part about it, and we've talked about this ad nauseum over the last couple of years, the amount of women's basketball that is on television now is awesome. I watch it as often as I can. I'm not saying that because you're here or saying it to people at home. I do. I love watching because the games are really good.
Yep.
More often, they're better than the men's games.
If we can't watch it on live, we record it, my daughter and I. And, we've got a friend of mine, Karina Sundell, who we've talked about. Her daughter, Serena's down
She's
in Kansas.
awfully good. She's first team all Big 12 this year.
She's
Holy cow.
pretty fantastic. So we try to watch her anytime we can. And so it's fun to be able to, and we still record the Iowa games, even though Caitlin's not playing. We've watched enough of them to remember some of the players that are on that team. So it's just it is. I mean, there's some fantastic athletes out there.
Did that translate over for you and your daughter to watch the Fever play this summer?
Oh,
in this past summer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we watched as many. Almost bought the WNBA pass, but summers.
See, that's fantastic, and you're not. There's millions of other people that just like you that did that.
Yeah, and I'm looking at my calendar for the summer, like, hey, where could we get to a game if we could? I
don't know if play the Lynx, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it'll happen, but those are some of the thoughts, and I hadn't thought about that in previous years. And Caitlin Clark is she's a very 1 in a million type of player.
Transcendent player. Yeah.
We saw her a couple years ago when she played Nebraska.
I know you guys went down there.
And the thing, she can score a bunch of points, but that girl can pass the ball. I mean, the way she sees the floor. I mean, she's the Tiger Woods of women's basketball. She's the Michael Jordan of women's basketball. There's something so different about her and how she plays that makes people want to watch.
I got another email. We neglected one. Abby Ducher. Yeah.
Oh, duh.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Abby was pretty good too. And
Yeah.
that we always remarked about that basketball wasn't her jam.
Right.
I mean, you're seeing it now. She's, starting for Alabama in softball.
Is that her mom, Kelly, that
Yeah,
said
it
that?
wasn't
No,
Kelly,
I'm
no.
just kidding. I love Kelly. No, Abby Dukeshire, yes, from 7th grade on, just a phenomenal athlete. And yeah, not even her best sport. It's fun she's top 10 Sports Center plays a couple days ago. And just a great kid too.
This was awesome.
Yep.
Thanks so much for doing this.
Anytime, Tom.
It's great to see you, and you have a great call the last couple games here with Sam, okay?
Okay, and I do have to send a shout out to my guy, Paul Oden, who is a custodian at Bismarck High. He watches you every day.
Really?
He watches you every day. And Paul, this is for you. Hopefully you're watching today.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I appreciate that. Thanks for doing this, and have a great call this weekend. It's great to see you.
Yeah,
and congrats to Kinley. Good luck. She's in Newsies next week, you
Newsies
said?
Junior at Simley Middle School if you're in town.
I'd like to say that's her biggest deal, but she also was on statewide TV. How old was she when she was on there?
That came up on my, she was probably 4 or 5, and Mom, yeah, my husband was out getting almonds and Diet Mountain Dew. I'm like, where are you?
That was the best.
Yeah.
I think that was the same year the lights went out on us. Remember? They
Probably.
didn't come back on for like 10 minutes in Grand Forks. Thanks so much for doing this, and we'll see you soon, okay?
All right, sounds good.
Lynette Johnson, she'll be on the call with Sam later today for the semis of the championship tomorrow for Bison and Miss Basketball in North Dakota. We'll come back. How about a Mr. Basketball? Bart Manson will join us, preview Davies, their showdown with West Fargo. We'll do that when we come back after this.